Hi, I'm Morgan. For most of my 16 years, it was just me and Mom in our little two-bedroom apartment. Things weren't perfect, but we had each other. That changed when Rick moved in 6 months ago. Morgan, sweetie, can you please make yourself scarce tonight? Mom twirled her hair around her finger, the way she always did when she wanted something. Rick's bringing over some friends to watch the game. I looked up from my homework. But I have a huge test tomorrow. I need to study. You can study at the library or Kelly's house. She was already checking her reflection in the hallway mirror. The library closes at 8, and Kelly's visiting her grandparents this weekend. You know that. Mom sighed dramatically. Why do you always have to make things difficult? Rick says I'm raising you to be too dependent. Rick says a lot of things. I muttered. What was that? Nothing. I'll stay in my room. Rick arrived an hour later with 3 buddies, all of them already halfway to drunk. Their laughter and shouting made it impossible to concentrate. At midnight, I texted my Aunt Jenna. Me. Mom's boyfriend and his friends are being super loud. I can't sleep and I have a test tomorrow. Jenna. That's not right, honey. Want me to call her? Me. No, it'll just make things worse. Jenna. Morgan, I'm worried about you. This isn't the first time. Me. I'm fine. Really? But I wasn't. Around 2 a.m., I finally fell into a restless sleep, only to be yanked awake by a searing pain in my scalp. Get up! Rick's voice was slurred, his breath reeking of beer. He had a handful of my hair twisted in his fist, pulling me halfway off the bed. What are you doing? Let go! I tried to pry his fingers loose. Rick, baby, she's fine. Mom appeared in the doorway, giggling like a schoolgirl. Come back to the party. Your kid's been slamming doors and stomping around all night. He gave another yank that brought tears to my eyes. I was asleep, I gasped. Rick, honey, leave her. Mom was still smiling, like this was all some hilarious joke. Morgan's just being dramatic as usual. You're always defending her. He finally let go, shoving me back onto the bed. I'm not defending anyone. Mom laughed again as Rick stumbled toward her. You're so cute when you're all worked up. They left, closing my door. I could hear them laughing in the hallway. The next morning at school, my best friend Zoe immediately noticed something was wrong. Whoa, who died? She dropped into the seat beside me. You look like garbage, no offense. Thanks. Didn't sleep. I pushed my untouched lunch away. Morgan, seriously, what's up? You've been weird for weeks. I hesitated, then the whole story came tumbling out. Zoe's expression darkened with each detail. He put his hands on you? And your mom laughed? Zoe's voice rose. That's messed up. That's abuse, Morgan. Keep it down, I hissed. It's not that bad. Not that bad? He dragged you out of bed by your hair, and your mom just stood there laughing? That's sick. What am I supposed to do? It's not like I can move out. Zoe leaned forward. My cousin went through something similar with her stepdad. There are people who can help. Laws to protect you. I don't want to cause trouble. Morgan, listen to me. Zoe grabbed my hands. This isn't normal. This isn't okay. And it's going to get worse if you don't do something about it. I stared at her, my heart racing. What if nobody believes me? I believe you, she said firmly. And my mom will too. She's a nurse. She knows about this stuff. You're coming home with me today. No arguments. Zoe's mom, Mrs. Chen, listened without interrupting as I recounted what happened. Her face remained composed, but I noticed her knuckles whitening as she gripped her coffee mug. Has he put his hands on you before this, Morgan? She finally asked. Not exactly, but he's always looming, invading my space, making comments about my clothes or my body. And your mother? Has she ever intervened? I shook my head. She says I'm being sensitive, that I need to lighten up. Mrs. Chen exchanged a look with Zoe. I think we should call your Aunt Jenna. Would that be okay? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Where are you? Rick wants to apologize. Stop being childish and come home. She wants me to come home, says Rick wants to apologize. Do you feel safe going home? Mrs. Chen asked. I, I don't know. My phone buzzed again. Morgan Elizabeth, answer me right now. You're being ridiculous. It wasn't even that serious. Mrs. Chen called Aunt Jenna, who arrived 30 minutes later in a whirlwind of concern and righteous anger. I knew something wasn't right. Jenna paced the Chen's living room. I should have pushed harder. It's not your fault, I said. It's not yours either, sweetie. She sat beside me. But we need to document this, and we need to talk to someone at school tomorrow. No way. I shook my head vigorously. I don't want everyone knowing my business. Morgan, Zoe interjected. Miss Ramirez, the guidance counselor? She's really cool. She helped my friend Jade when her parents were going through that nasty divorce. This is different. No, it's not, Jenna insisted. This is exactly what school counselors are for, and they're mandated reporters. What does that mean? It means they're legally required to report suspected abuse. But what if Mom says I'm lying? What if Rick denies everything? That's why we document, Mrs. Chen said. Take photos of any injuries. Keep a journal of incidents with dates and times. Save text messages. My brother-in-law's a lawyer, Jenna added. He can help us navigate the legal stuff. My phone kept buzzing. Mom's messages grew increasingly angry, then switched to guilt-tripping. I can't believe you do this to me, after everything I've sacrificed for you. She's making this about her, I whispered. She always does. Classic manipulation, Mrs. Chen noted. Don't engage yet. We need a plan first. The next day, Miss Ramirez listened carefully to my story, taking notes and asking occasional questions. Morgan, what happened to you is not okay, she said when I finished. As a mandated reporter, I need to contact Child Protective Services. What will happen then? A caseworker will be assigned to investigate. They'll want to interview you, your mother, and Rick. Mom will freak out. That's why we're going to make sure you have support. Is there somewhere safe you can stay? She can stay with me, Aunt Jenna said firmly, for as long as necessary. Miss Ramirez nodded. I'll contact CPS today. In the meantime, Morgan, avoid being alone with Rick and document everything. 3 days later, I sat in Miss Ramirez's office with Aunt Jenna, facing my mother and Rick across the table. A woman named Miss Torres from CPS sat at the head of the table, her expression neutral but observant. Mom looked both angry and bewildered. This is completely unnecessary. We could have handled this at home. Like you handled it when your boyfriend assaulted your daughter? Jenna's voice was ice cold. Assault? Rick scoffed. Give me a break. The kid was being disrespectful. I was asleep, I said, my voice shaking slightly. You were making noise, he insisted. Slamming things. Even if that were true, Miss Torres interjected, physically grabbing a minor by the hair is not an appropriate response. It wasn't that serious, Mom said dismissively. Morgan's always been dramatic. I have photos of the bruises on her scalp, Jenna countered. Is that dramatic too? Rick leaned forward, his face reddening. Look, I admit I lost my temper. I'd had a few drinks. I'm sorry it happened. Are you? I finally looked directly at him. Because this isn't the first time you've made me feel unsafe in my own home. Oh, come on. The comments about my body? Following me to the bathroom? Accidentally walking in while I'm changing? Mom's face paled. What? You never told me that. Would you have believed me? You laugh when he hurts me. I wasn't, Mom stuttered. I didn't think it was that serious. That's the problem, isn't it? My voice grew stronger. You never think anything he does is serious. You're so afraid of being alone that you'll let him do whatever he wants, even if it hurts me. That's not fair. Mom's eyes welled with tears. Morgan, I love you. I would never let anyone really hurt you. But you did. You stood there and laughed while he yanked me out of bed by my hair. How is that love? Rick suddenly slammed his fist on the table. This is ridiculous! You ungrateful little— Mr. Davidson, Miss Torres cut in sharply. I suggest you control yourself. Or what? He stood up, looming over the table. This is family business. You people have no right to interfere. Sit down, Mr. Davidson. Miss Torres remained calm. Or I'll have security escort you out. Rick, please. Mom tugged at his arm. You're making things worse. I'm making things worse? He yanked his arm away. Your kid is spinning lies and I'm the problem? They're not lies, I said steadily, and we both know it. Rick pointed a finger at me. You think you're so smart? You have no idea what you're starting. Your mother needs me. When this is over, you'll regret it. Is that a threat, Mr. Davidson? Miss Ramirez asked quietly. It's a promise, he snarled, then stormed out of the office. Mom looked torn between following him and staying. Morgan, please. He didn't mean it. He's just upset. Are you seriously defending him right now? I couldn't believe it. He's under a lot of stress. His job... Stop. I held up my hand. Just stop. The next 2 weeks were a blur of meetings, paperwork, and court appearances. I stayed with Aunt Jenna, who took time off work to support me through the process. Mom alternated between pleading with me to come home and angrily accusing me of destroying her life. The temporary restraining order against Rick became permanent after he violated it twice, showing up at school once and at Aunt Jenna's house another time, both times clearly intoxicated. The judge was very clear, Miss Wilson, Detective Lopez explained to my mother in yet another meeting. Mr. Davidson is not to contact Morgan in any way. That includes using you as an intermediary. But he's really sorry, Mom insisted. He's even going to anger management classes. That's his choice, the detective replied. But the restraining order remains in effect, and given his violations, we're recommending charges for stalking and harassment. This is all getting blown out of proportion, Mom protested. Mom, I said wearily. He yanked me out of bed by my hair. He made sexual comments about my body. He threatened me in front of witnesses, including a CPS worker. How much more does he have to do before you take this seriously? He loves me, Morgan. People make mistakes. And I'm your daughter. Doesn't that count for anything? Zoe and her parents became my rock, along with Aunt Jenna. Even some of my teachers stepped up, offering support and flexibility with assignments as I navigated the legal process. A month after that night, I agreed to meet Mom at a coffee shop. She looked thinner, shadows under her eyes. I miss you, she said immediately. The apartment feels empty without you. Is Rick still there? She hesitated. He's been staying with a friend, just until this blows over. It's not going to blow over, Mom. This isn't a rainstorm. Morgan, please. He made a mistake. We all make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. Multiple choices, actually. He's getting help. Anger management. Counseling. He's doing the work. Good for him, I said flatly. I hope it helps his next girlfriend's daughter. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm not coming back as long as he's in your life. You can't ask me to choose, she whispered. I'm not asking you to choose. I'm telling you my boundary. If Rick is part of your life, I can't be. At least not until I'm 18 and can protect myself legally. That's almost 2 years. I know how to count, Mom. Morgan, please. He's really sorry. We can work this out. I looked at her. Really looked at her. For the first time, I saw her clearly. A woman so afraid of being alone that she'd sacrifice her own child's safety. No, Mom, we can't. I've already arranged to stay with Aunt Jenna until graduation. Judge Peterson approved it yesterday. You went to court without telling me? Jenna has temporary guardianship now. It's all legal. Mom's face crumpled. You're punishing me. No, I'm protecting myself. I stood up. The door isn't closed forever, Mom, but Rick has to be completely out of the picture. That's non-negotiable. And if I say no, then I guess I'll see you when I'm 18. 2 months later, I was settling into my new normal, living with Aunt Jenna, weekly therapy sessions, regular dinners with Zoe's family. Rick pled guilty to reduced charges of harassment and was serving 6 months in county jail, followed by 2 years probation. Mom still called occasionally, always with the same refrain. Rick was sorry. He was changing. I was being unfair. I stood firm. I don't get how your mom can choose that jerk over you, Zoe said one afternoon as we studied at her kitchen table. She's not choosing him over me, I replied. She's choosing her fear of being alone over everything else. Still sucks. Yeah, it does. I closed my textbook. But you know what? For the first time in forever, I feel safe. I sleep through the night. I don't flinch when someone raises their voice. That's worth something. It's worth everything, Mrs. Chen said, entering with a plate of cookies. Your courage has been remarkable, Morgan. I shrugged, embarrassed. I had help, a lot of it. That's what community is for, she smiled, supporting each other through the hard times. Later that night, I added another entry to the journal my therapist had suggested I keep. Today marks 2 months since I left Mom's apartment. 2 months of peace. 2 months of rebuilding. Sometimes I still feel guilty, like I should have tried harder to make things work with Mom. But then I remember, I'm not responsible for her choices. I'm only responsible for my own safety and happiness. I wonder if other kids are going through what I did. If they're afraid to speak up or don't know who to turn to. What would you do if you were in my shoes? Would you have the courage to stand up for yourself, even if it meant losing someone you love? I hope you never have to find out. But if you do, remember, you deserve to be safe. Always. Have you ever had to make a difficult choice to protect yourself? Share your story in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.